Good morning. Welcome to the LeNora Faye Show Morning Edition, Video Edition. I'm your host, LeNora Faye. I have been thinking about wearing this wig for a while. I haven't worn it in so long, and so I normally would probably wear the one in that photo, but it's morning, and I've been thinking about this wig, and I'm like, I have to wear the rainbow wig, so I'm wearing the rainbow wig. If you remember me from the Child for Girls podcast, you often saw me in a variety of different wigs. I think I have 30 in my closet. And so I just need a fun, somewhat lighthearted chat fest with myself to you that's different from the podcast, which the LeNora Faye Show is now a month old. I'm okay, let me back up a little bit. This is going to be an experiment. This morning show is an experiment. It's not going to be a very long show. I am planning for it to be about 2 weeks. It's kind of like a beta testing, see if it lands, see how I feel. I used to host an audio chat show during lockdown on the Clubhouse app, and while I don't miss doing that show, I miss the vibe, the feel. I miss what I do miss is creating something that connects with people through morning and was very casual, very casual. So so I was thinking, well, what can I do that's super casual? And this is kind of it. So I'm gonna do this for 2 weeks as of right now and see what happens. And we'll see what happens. If you're listening to this on Spotify, that means I've decided to upload the audio version to the podcast. But primarily, this is video because this is a chance for me to, take the wigs out for a walk, so to speak. Plus, it's fun. There are a lot of things that I love to talk about that are kind of lighthearted. I love celebrity gossip. I love beautiful things. I'm not going to apply makeup on this channel. I'm not going to talk about celebrity gossip per se, but I am going to reference it because it's just part of my day-to-day life. For example, and here, this is just to entertain and help you get you going in your morning or evening or whatever time of day it is. So this morning I woke up and I did check TMZ. It's not the first thing I do, but that is part of like, okay, who's died, who's got divorced, who is being arrested for doing all sorts of bad things. And there's a lot of that coming out. And I got a text from one of my Child for Girls co-hosts. By the way, if you are one of my friends, you may hear some familiar stuff. I will never say who you are, but I'm just using it as a reference if I don't think, and I'll be very selective of how that goes. So it's not like I'm going to talk about everything we talk about because that's just not nice. But in this case, I received a text message from one of my Child for Girls, the previous podcast I did, one of my co-hosts, and she was asking me for an update on Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Because again, I don't want to reference too many like what's going on currently because that will date the videos because who knows what'll happen a week from now. But as far as I know, Ben and Jen are still getting divorced. Ben and JLo are still getting divorced because people are asking me for updates on that too. Um, which is funny. But I guess that's the point. So I wake up and I go, okay, so what celebrity gossip updates do I need to give to people? And so I said, well, nothing's going on. And I said, I mean, there's rumor happening that they split up because they haven't been seen together apparently in a few weeks. And so I'm like, well, she's getting ready for a tour and he's busy with football. People are busy. But I thought it was funny because I mean, but it's true. People do ask me about like what's happening in the celebrity world because it is part of my daily routine. It's just, we all have things that are frivolous and fun to us or that we're interested in. And I've been doing I've been looking at a lot of patterns in my life. Like why do certain things? Why do I keep having certain kind of like there's certain experiences that we repeat over time in our lives. And I've been doing a lot of reflecting and just really moving into a new state of mind because I think you do that I have done that at every decade. And since turning 40, it's been like leaps and bounds going, I know how I've operated in the past. I know what I've wanted to experience and I'm like new levels of life is where I'm headed. So I can't think the same way, act the same way. And I'm really it's hard. It's kind of like vomiting and when you go through all your crap, right? And you realize, oh, I'm attracting these situations or I'm not attracting these situations and why. And so I'm really looking at all that stuff. And while I don't have a problem with my curiosity for celebrity gossip, I have looked back as to really where that stemmed from. And I have talked about this before, but my mother, so I grew up in a house where you weren't allowed not allowed to have a TV in your home or watch movies or anything like that. And that is an upbringing that I will explore in greater detail in episodes to come on my podcast. But essentially, my mom grew up in a house with television. So did my dad for that matter. But she always read celebrity, like she always brought home celebrity biographies from the library because we were always at the library. So she would tell me all these stories about, famous people she'd read about. And because that happened at such a young age, I think that just naturally that stuck. And so I just had this natural desire to know about people's lives. And so celebrity has fascinated me. And that's not the only reason why, but that's kind of just the basics of it right now. Now my mom has been dead for almost 20 years now. Yeah, I'll be coming up 20 years now. So, this was before TMZ, so otherwise her and I would be talking about Bennifer, Ben and JLo now. Um, I think she would love, I don't know if she would love TMZ, but she likes to know like the whole story, the whole story. So that's why I like long form content more than short content because I want to know everything. I want to know why people made the decisions they made, what they learned from it. And that's really the gist behind the LeNora Faye Show, the podcast, because I'm just sharing my personal stories because I like to entertain people. And also too, it's a way for me, it's actually becoming a way for me to look back and go, oh, that was a lesson I learned. Okay. And then it kind of clicks. But I'm very much at that stage in my life. If you're not at that stage in your life, it will happen. Don't be in a rush for that to happen because it's not easy. When you start dissecting why you do what you do and how you've done, how things have shown up. And it's really, I will say this, it's really freeing, but it's very challenging and some days very, very difficult. So I'm at the point where I'm looking for outlets just to kind of, because it's just this freeing feeling of like, okay, I see why things have gone this way or why they haven't gone this way. And da da da. And so now it's like, how do I express myself in a way that feels true for me where I'm at this point in my life? How did I get there from celebrity gossip? I don't remember. So that's been my morning this morning. Actually, this is going to go out tomorrow, so technically it was yesterday. In real time, this was this morning. So I just need to acknowledge the fact that people reach out to me for celebrity gossip updates, celebrity news updates, I should say, like what's actually happening. And again, a lot of times it is speculation, but there's only certain sites that I'll go on. And in Canada, we do have, by the way, I'm Canadian. If you don't know that, I do live in Canada, born and raised here. Out west, not out east, so not in Toronto. But we do have a few, or actually one, as far as I know, like gossip queen who knows everything. Her name is Lainey. I love her website. And she has made a fabulous career of herself of being a fabulous career for herself being in the celebrity news world from a Canadian perspective. And not even about Canadian celebrities, because Canadian celebrities that we talk about live in the US now. So, you know. Oh my goodness. Okay. So by the way, that is I have been diving a little bit deeper into I love this because there's no structure to this whatsoever. That's kind of the point of this show. It's just talking and then, you'll go about your day. By the way, I hope you have a great day. So content creating has been really challenging for Canadian creators because we don't have a lot of access to uh, different features and different functions that, let's say, TikTok has or even Instagram. And that, as someone who has accidentally become a content creator over the years, I hate finding that stuff out. Because here's the thing. I live in a country that, while we do have some perks, it is limited. And quite honestly, while I love my fellow Canadians, I am always seeking an American audience. I'm seeking an American audience because there's so much more, so many more of you, which may or may not be a good thing depending on your perspective. But as someone who likes to have an audience, more is better. Yeah, I'll stick with that. There's an inside joke about an ex-boyfriend there, but I'll leave that one for now. So, the intention with this show, like I said, this is just a kind of a lighthearted-ish morning show that I'm gonna do for 2 weeks. I'll put out the content in the morning. And again, if you're listening to this in podcast form, that means I have decided to upload it to my podcast just for more content. Because sometimes it's easier for people to listen in podcast than it is to watch on video. But I do want to acknowledge the hair, and it's just practice. So you know what? I'm gonna make that the moral of this episode because I like to bring that in. Is okay. I am someone that likes to have a vision and likes to have something to work towards. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel more secure just navigating life. But that doesn't always happen. So what I do is when I do feel some sort of calling, I act on it, even if it's super imperfect, even if I don't know exactly how. For example, two examples. The podcast, the LeNora Faye Show, the podcast, not this, but the podcast that I started last month. I ended up having a 1 month period where I had quietly stepped away from my advocacy work. I didn't tell anybody except for the people that needed to know, meaning my business partners and collaborators. I stepped away and did not say anything publicly about it and was like, all right, well, I have to do I mean, like, what's next? Like, I'm dying or like I've got to do something. Like, I have to build a platform or have a platform. So, like, it's not an option for me not to. And then just naturally the idea for the LeNora Faye Show came to me. I wasn't intending on starting a podcast or anything like that, but it was something I could immediately act on because I knew how to start a podcast. I've had been podcasting for 3 years. So I've had that experience. I know how to edit. I know how to record. I know how to do all those things. So I got it up within 24 hours. This morning, I actually acknowledged to a couple friends of mine, which I normally don't do this, but when I have a very small trusted circle that I feel like I need to share this just to get it out. I had mentioned that I was feeling like there was this little idea that I don't think I could act on it yet, but it was like I kind of miss having some sort of morning show. And again, like I'm not on TV. I don't like radio in Canada exists, but and TV in Canada exists, but there's not a ton of it. So, and I don't use traditional channels. I don't have access to that. So I was like, I don't think I can act on it right now, but there's something. And so I just said it. And then, of course, as it happens, like 5 minutes later, it was like, well, you've been thinking about adding a video to your YouTube, but there's this tendency to have this, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make 1,000 videos, I'm gonna do it for a whole year. Like that's a time commitment. And life can be like up and down, right? So I'm I'm not like overextending myself. So I thought about it. I'm like, well, no, I could do like a little beta test. I could just put it out there, just record. It's a very simple idea, easy, not a big deal, but just put it out, start. So that's what I'm doing. 2 weeks. That's what I'm doing. And that's the point. If you have an idea and it won't shut up, and even if you don't feel like you can do it, like just start somewhere and just start. It does help when you have previous experience. Like this is not, but you know what? Even before that, the first time I made a video, it was awful. And this was back in 2019. I was feeling I'll tell that story another time, but I wasn't comfortable at all, but I couldn't stop myself. I think that's the thing. You get to the point where you're like, I have to do something. I have to act on it. And it can be the most clumsiest, ridiculous thing you can put together, but it's a start. Because honestly, most people don't start stuff. They have these ideas, they tell people their ideas, and they never start it. And that's worse than putting out something that's absolute crap. Got to start somewhere. So that's the moral for this morning's video. So thank you for watching this inaugural Inaugural? No, and whatever. The first, the premiere of the LeNora Faye Show morning edition. This again, beta testing. We'll see what happens. Got to do something. So feel free to like and subscribe to this channel. Again, you can also listen to the LeNora Faye Show in podcast form here on YouTube, or if you are listening on Spotify, well then you already know that the show's up on Spotify as well too. There will be links to where you can find me, how you can support the show. Please leave a comment and you can follow me on Instagram, DM me privately if you wish. Let me know what you think. And we will chat again tomorrow.